now it becomes really questionable of what the hell happened to Epstein while behind bars and the missing, 5 minutes of video documentation.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, not too much, Tom. Hey, look, Cedric Layton was on CNN this morning talking about how killing these people in the Caribbean on those boats is a clear violation of the laws of armed conflict. Mm-hmm. And yeah, of course it is. I mean, you can't say it with a straight face. You can't try to deny it and take Hegseth's position with a straight face. But I want to ask you about this. I think there's something bigger going on, and I'm asking you because you're Vietnam era.
Okay.
And you remember the school. You remember the School of the Americas, right?
Yeah.
And you remember the U.S. big time push to support dictatorship around the world. Look, I think they're changing what the Latin phrase "jus ad bellum," the right to war. People can look that up if they want, right? I think the oligarchs, as you would say in America, the conservative oligarchs, are changing the focus. It got me thinking about the spy balloons and these caravans, and now what's going on with Venezuela. This is all old stuff. They're just presenting it as new. This was going on when I was on active duty, Tom. This is old stuff. Why is this big news now?
You know, it was McKinley who ginned up the Spanish-American War for political purposes by claiming that that Spain had blown up the USS Maine in Havana Harbor when actually the boiler exploded. Lyndon Johnson and the Gulf of Tonkin. I mean, none of this stuff is new. By the way, Dave, this will ring your bells. This is literally from the Defense Department's Law of War Manual, okay? This is the book that they give to you when you enlist in the military that says, here under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, here is the law. And let me just quote to you. This is section 18.3.2.1, and it's titled "Clearly Illegal Orders to Commit Law of War Violations." Quote, "The requirement to refuse to comply with orders to commit law of war violations applies to orders to perform conduct that is clearly illegal or orders that the subordinate knows in fact are illegal. For example, orders to fire upon the shipwrecked would be clearly illegal." End of quote.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the Law of War Manual that the Department of Defense publishes says, for example, orders to fire upon the shipwrecked would be clearly illegal. I'm telling you, Hegseth is going down. Now, the question is he going to take anybody with him?
Well, and look, I think this is giving something to the Kremlin because all this illicit money, all this entrepreneurship, all this commerce, what we call illicit commerce, will benefit the Kremlin. I don't know if they're going to be smart enough.
I'm going to get into that in the third hour, but that's what they're offering, Don Jr. and Steve Witkoff's kids, apparently, are business opportunities in Russia if they can just, get Ukraine to give up, half their territory to Putin. I mean, it's nuts. Dave, I got to move along, but your point's well made. Thank you very much. Michael in Bronx, New York. Hey, Michael, what's up?
Hey, Tom. Hope you had a good holiday.
I did.
And
hope you did too.
Yeah, same here. And now here we are on Monday, and I am deeply, deeply troubled of the latest stuff that has gone on. And believe it or not, we can connect this to the Epstein case, the Epstein files, because once again, they bombed a ship from Venezuela, and they're going to falsely claim, and I say falsely because there's been no evidence whatsoever of any drug cartel, but still you don't go bombing the ships.
Are you suggesting, Michael, or do you think that the reason Hegseth has been blowing up these little boats and killing these in some cases, the families have come out and said they were just fishermen, or in one case it was two young men who were commuting to work between Trinidad and Venezuela. It's a 7-mile stretch of water there. Do you think he's doing it, and that the USS Gerald Ford and all that stuff is off the coast of Venezuela to distract us from the Epstein files? Do you think it's really that's what's going on?
No, that's not the distraction I think it's possible. It is possible, but let me show the other connection. The fact is that they blow up the ships, and then you had 2 survivors, and then Hegseth gives the order to murder them. I mean, this is like a mafia-style organized crime.
Yep.
And I already heard the reports that it ain't nothing to do with drug cartels. It's about going after Venezuela oil.
Yeah.
But even putting that aside,
Well, Trump
the
has
reason why I
already
connected,
as much as said that, Venezuela has more oil than Saudi Arabia.
yeah, but the reason why I'm making a connection to the Epstein case is because now it becomes really questionable of what the hell happened to Epstein while behind bars, and the missing, 5 minutes of video documentation.
Oh, yeah.
Before that,
Well, Epstein had just,
alive.
just in the months before that, Epstein had been talking with multiple people. Donald Trump was president at the time, about how he could bring down Donald Trump. I think he reached out and he had been blackmailing people his whole life. I think he started blackmailing Trump, and that's why he died in prison. But, who knows?
I don't think it was suicide.
I don't think it was suicide either. Michael, thank you for the call.